Every morning, millions wake up feeling crushed by their lives. One man felt that weight on his chest. He delayed tasks. He told himself he would start tomorrow. Days turned into months. His dreams grew distant. Then he tried one tiny thing. 10 minutes. One small task. It barely made a dent at first. But those tiny steps added up. Watch how a simple habit changed his life, and take one action you can use tonight. Life lesson: start small and keep going. Small steps beat perfect plans that never begin. Story about a person. Procrastination often grows when tasks feel too big and a person does not know where to begin. Many people freeze in that space between wanting change and taking the first step. He was one of them. His name was Mark. He worked in an office but felt stuck in life. Mark woke to a phone full of unread messages. A stack of unpaid bills sat on his kitchen counter. His closet held clothes draped over a chair instead of hung up. He wanted to be different, but each morning he told himself he would start tomorrow. Days blurred together and small things built into a heavy weight. He lost interest in hobbies he once loved. Friends stopped calling as often. The house felt smaller every week. One evening he sat on the floor and counted the ways he could begin. He made a simple list. Wash one plate. Send one email. Put 3 shirts on hangers. He set a 5-minute timer, and he surprised himself by getting up. The kitchen looked better after the plate was washed. The email he sent was not perfect, but it opened a door. A small victory gave him a spark. He used that tiny spark to try again the next day. He changed his routine slowly. Mornings became a time for one small win. He picked up shoes from the floor. He replied to one message that had sat unread for weeks. He walked for 10 minutes instead of scrolling through his phone for an hour. Those small acts did not fix everything at once. Yet the clutter on his desk began to shrink. His sleep improved. A friend noticed the difference and reached out. Mark felt more in control with each small step. Later he organized his job search differently. Instead of rewriting a perfect resume, he updated one section a day. He prepared for interviews by answering one practice question at a time. With patience, his confidence grew. Opportunities that had seemed distant came closer because he had started. He learned that momentum builds from motion, not from waiting for the right mood. The change did not happen overnight, and setbacks came. Some days he fell back into old habits and felt discouraged. He learned to be kind to himself and to restart without shame. He kept small targets and celebrated tiny wins. Life became quieter and fuller. Mark found joy in simple progress and in the steady work of small steps. Life lesson: big changes start with tiny actions. Begin with one small step and keep going. Internal struggle. Procrastination often grows from fear, perfectionism, and a sense of being overwhelmed. Many people who delay tasks report more stress, less sleep, and a constant low mood. He noticed these signs in himself. His work piled up. So did unpaid bills and broken promises to friends. His mind became a battleground. One voice said, "Start now, just one step." Another shouted, "Not yet, you need a perfect plan." He replayed past failures and used them as proof he would fail again. He told himself stories to justify doing nothing. Simple chores swelled into impossible tasks. He felt shame. He felt heavy. Sometimes he could not even open one email without dread. Physical sensations matched his thoughts. His chest tightened. He moved slowly. He slept badly. Nights were full of rehearsed apologies. He pictured all the things that might go wrong. His inner critic was loud and sharp. At the same time, a quieter voice wanted change. That voice whispered small ideas. It suggested 5 minutes of sorting a drawer. It said a single call could shift things. He ignored it at first. Then he learned to name the thoughts. "That is fear," he would say silently. "That is perfectionism. He used gentle questions instead of harsh judgments. What one tiny action can first take now? He set a timer for 5 minutes and opened one bill. He sent one short email. Small motions broke the freeze. Each little success eased the critic a bit, and his chest loosened. The inner war did not vanish, but it changed. Compassion grew where scorn had lived. Life lesson: small, kind steps in the mind lead to real change in life. Realization. Many people feel trapped when tasks pile up and choices crowd the day. He knew this feeling well. Emails stared back like small accusations. Laundry formed soft hills on the chair. His heart beat fast and little things became mountains. He kept promising himself to start tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. A small thing changed everything. A drawing left on the kitchen table by his child had sticky tape at the corner. He picked it up without thinking. The lines were crooked. The colors bled past the edges. He felt a sharp ache in his chest. That ache was honest and clear. It showed him how distant he had become from the life he wanted to live. In that moment he did not plan a grand overhaul. He only felt the truth: he was avoiding life by waiting for perfect conditions. He tried a tiny move first. He set the drawing on the fridge with a magnet. Then he washed one plate that sat in the sink. He opened a single email and replied with 3 sentences. Those small acts felt strange at first. They were not heroic. They were not big enough to change everything. But each small act warmed him like a match lighting a damp log. Momentum is real. Confidence grows from tiny proof that you can act. The realization deepened as simple actions led to other choices. Clearing the plate led to clearing part of the counter. Clearing the counter made a path to the chair where he could sit and write a short note to a friend. The note came back with warmth. A phone call that he had put off turned out to be kind. Practical steps became evidence that he could keep going. He learned to break a hard task into one manageable start. He found that the weight of life lessened when he chose the next tiny step instead of trying to fix everything at once. He changed not because of a sudden miracle, but because he learned a new habit of noticing and choosing. He paid attention to small signals: an empty mug, a forgotten drawing, a ping on his phone, and let each one ask for one small reply. Over time the replies added up into real change. Life became less overwhelming because action, even if small, pushed back the fog. Life lesson: big change often begins with a single, simple act. When you feel stuck, do one small thing. Then do the next. Change. People often feel trapped when life feels too big. Procrastination is common. Psychologists link it to avoidance and to feeling overwhelmed. One practical approach they use is breaking tasks into tiny steps. This is the idea that small actions build momentum. He woke each morning with a list that crushed him. Work, bills, a messy home, a strained friendship, everything weighing down his chest. He stared at the list and did nothing. Days blurred. Nights were full of guilt. He knew things had to shift. He could not see a path out. One night he picked a single, tiny task. He washed one plate. It seemed small. It mattered more than he expected. After that he tried another small step. He put on his running shoes and walked for a few minutes around the block. He wrote one paragraph about his ideas each evening. He cleared one corner of his desk. These moves did not fix everything in one day. But each small win eased the pressure. The habit of starting grew stronger than the habit of avoiding. He learned a practical trick: if a task felt big, he cut it into the smallest useful piece and promised only to begin. Setbacks came. He skipped a week of writing. A bill arrived and he panicked. Old fears returned. He did not let the slip become a return to old ways. He used a simple rule: start again with the smallest possible action. He kept a short list of tiny steps on a sticky note. He tracked progress with a calendar and felt proud to mark small checks. People around him noticed calm in his voice first. Then they saw better focus and brighter eyes. Slow change followed. He found steady work that matched his renewed energy. He mended one friendship by sending a short, honest message. His apartment stayed cleaner because he did a little bit each day. The life lesson was quiet but strong. Big problems yield to small, steady actions. Start small. Keep going. Small steps lead to real change. Motivational ending. Many people feel crushed when too much needs to be done. Procrastination then becomes a safe place. Tasks feel like mountains. He could not sleep because his to-do list lived in his head. Daniel woke to the same dread every morning. He stared at the ceiling and thought about the emails he had not answered, the room he avoided, and the book he had promised himself he would finish someday. Fear and shame sat with him at the kitchen table. He told himself he would start tomorrow. Tomorrow never came for a long time. One night he chose a small thing. He made his bed. It took 2 minutes. The room looked different. The small act felt like a tiny victory. Then he set a 5-minute timer and cleared one drawer. It was not dramatic. It was specific and doable. He wrote 50 words on the book he wanted to finish. The next morning he wrote another short paragraph before breakfast. Slow habits stacked into a routine. A single answered email led to another. A short walk led to clearer thinking. He learned to break big tasks into one-step beginnings. Friends noticed he smiled more. Work became less heavy because he handled one task at a time. He sometimes slipped back into old habits. Setbacks came, and he forgave himself and returned to the small steps. Over months, the messy apartment became a calm space, a short story on his laptop became a completed draft, and a lonely evening turned into a call with someone he cared about. These were not sudden miracles. They were steady, careful choices, each small and specific. In the end he stood in his doorway and felt pride that once seemed impossible. He did not conquer everything, but he changed the story he was telling himself. The true victory was learning that tiny starts lead to real progress. Life lesson: begin with one small, clear action and keep going, because small steps become the path to change. He felt heavy and stuck. He put things off. Days passed and fear grew. Then he tried one tiny step. 1 minute of work. One small task. It did not fix everything at once. It built hope. Small wins led to bigger steps. His life began to change. You might feel the same. First have felt this too. Start with one small thing today. Celebrate tiny progress. Be patient and kind to yourself. If this story touched you, like and share. Leave a comment with your first small step. Subscribe to join our community. We will bring more real stories and simple tips in the next videos. Life lesson: big change starts with a tiny step. Keep going, not perfect.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.